Good morning, good people. Today is Saturday, July 26, 2025. Here we are at G.school, not Department of Career Services. We're at G.school. Our purpose is to help our students and interested people on their journey through this life. And I talked to a lot of our people who are too busy to watch this at any time during the day. They're just too busy. Okay, they're just too busy to watch this. Got an interesting text. So many of our people are just too busy to watch this as they are floundering around through their life. Or the thing is, more likely, well, that's true. Plus, I can always start watching it tomorrow. A friend of mine, Dennis, yesterday told me about a guy who retired, did his 30 years with the police department, retired, decided to take his wife on one of those Hawaiian trips or something for retirement, got her some nice jewelry. Honey, our new life is about to begin. Gets home 2 days later, massive heart attack, dies. The point is, you never know. The point is, you got to make sure you are heading in the right direction. Because it kind of makes sense. And if you think about Newton's laws, it makes sense that whatever direction you start going, as we shed this mortal coil, we will continue, our spirit, our soul will continue in the direction that we chose. See how I do that? Chose. It reminds me, good morning, Miss Trinkle, wherever you are. Bonk. So, might seem like a small sacrifice to be thinking about what's it all about. Hey, Alfie, what's it all about? Might be a small sacrifice to do that. Right. Okay. So big day today. We've got 20 people working today. Holy moly. Right. We've got 20 people working today. And cool, man. Really, really good. But to our point, this is day 6, week 2 in our neuroscience approach to success. It should be a neuroscience-oriented approach to success, as opposed to what? A philosophical approach to success, a religious approach to success, a spiritual approach to success. This is a neuroscience approach to success. So using how the brain works, understanding how the brain works to become successful. And this is week 2. This is almost the end of Inside Our Skull-Sized Kingdom. So we've talked about neurons, we've talked about neurotransmitters, we've talked about the reticular activating system, we talked about stress, we talked about mindset. Today's TED Talk is Jill Bolte Taylor, Harvard brain scientist who had a stroke. And as a brain scientist, that was a slow stroke, lasted over 4 hours before she became incapacitated, and that gave them enough time to get her to the hospital, do the thing, revive her, and almost 20 years later, I think now, close to that, she has been out for at least 10 years, at least half of that, talking about what she experienced and how she experienced the brain, being able to understand what was going on from a neuroscience perspective. So that's a good one. Before we get to that, let's get to our theme of today, settling for better. Seth Godin, settling for better. And advice from an 80-year-old, be modest. A lot was accomplished before you were born. Yeah, we tend to think, yeah, I'm the bee's knees. I am the pinnacle. I am the paint at the top of the ball on the top of the Eiffel Tower. And I believe this Eiffel Tower was built just so that I could be on the very highest part. No, they didn't care about the paint on the top of the ball on the top of the Eiffel Tower. That's us. We might be the paint on the top of the ball on the top of the Eiffel Tower, but the Eiffel Tower wasn't put there just for the paint. The paint part was kind of inconsequential. It just happens to be where it is. All righty then. Let's go to Seth Godin. Settling for better. Perhaps you're really good at the job. Hard charging, focus on every interaction and staying in control. It's easy to justify the hard work because you refuse to settle. Okay. It turns out that your community is here and ready to contribute. When you give others the resources, trust, and commitment to do their work, the work gets done. Sometimes it even gets done better than you could have done it if you had the time and focus, which you don't. If scale is the goal, your control over each interaction has to loosen. The job of the leader is to create the conditions for others to raise the standards. Trusting your team isn't settling for less, it's settling for better. Right, trusting your team. So you got to make sure you create the conditions where trust is important to them. Being trusted is important to them. Because if they think it's every man for himself, that's not going to be good. Okay, Bob is on his way. Maticus Phonaticus is on the podcast. I don't know if he saw, I don't know whether Maticus Phonaticus Untersergeant Ordinaire noticed the car leaving, but we've got a car full of people en route. Out there to make the money. So we've got to have them. Everybody needs to remember Lavagel's purpose is to make their life better, and their purpose is to make Lavagel's life easier. How does Lavagel make their life better? By giving them money, training them to have more skills, giving them an opportunity to feel good about themselves. They're contributing. The packets they make, somebody's going to have the food, hot food, heated from the packet that they're making. Somebody one day, if you think about the packet, one day somebody's going to say, boy, that's hot, that's good. So they're doing worthwhile work, they're getting paid for it, they're learning to do it, and the job is to make the boss's life easier, which means do what you're told to do. Just do the job, do it to the best of your ability. Don't create problems, don't create a nuisance, just do the job. Make it happen, make it happen, make it happen. Appreciation. And we're all in it together. So the people today, we've got a lot of new people starting. So the new people, or the existing people, the people who are trained, need to take one of the new guys, not have an attitude, hey man, you and I have been doing great, we're going to stick together, screw them. No, we all win together. A rising tide lifts all boats. How do we get the most packets done today? How do we break the record? We work together. We work together. Okay, so what else we have on our hit parade? We talked about advice from an 80-year-old, Joe Bolte Taylor, stroke of insight. Okay, so what did she notice? Well, she takes out a brain and shows that the two halves are actually bonk, the brain goes like that. We always see it as one brain, but the brain has two halves, the left and the right hemispheres. And if you hold it in your hands, you can go like that. They're connected at the bottom by the corpus callosum, which is about 300 million fibers that connect both sides together. And the brain can function when that's cut. So there are some surgeries where they do that because the people are going too crazy. So she had in her left hemisphere, she had a blood vessel burst and blood was spilling out, which was damaging the neurons. It couldn't work. When this would go offline, she only had this. And she describes the right hemisphere as all of the sensations coming in through our eyes, ears, fingers, all of that, and had a sense of being the genie let out of the bottle, just feeling and seeing all of these things. Her arm is up against the wall, and she can't tell the pixels in her arms from the pixels in the wall. So for a lot of people, it could be very scary, but as a brain scientist, like, wow. So this, and then her left side would come back on, flicker back on for a while. And so she could do things and ultimately call her office, have an ambulance come out as she's going through this. And so the left side of the brain is the side of the brain that is kind of the language, etc. And say, oh, you need to buy bananas, you need to do these things. So they work together. But this one would go offline and this one was there. And Joel Taylor's point was we should choose to go into the right hemisphere where we're all one. Everything is one. Kind of like pantheism. All is one. But we need the other side too. So how are we doing for time, such a runic rhyme? Okay, so this is G.school. Our focus is based upon the belief we have a transcendent soul that continues. It continues in the direction we start. Our goal here is to help you understand that, move forward in 4 dimensions: physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Monday through Friday, we focus on the physical. We're given a gift of life, right? And that gift has 3 subcomponents. We have this body that no other animal has the ability to do what we do. Some are faster, some are stronger, some can do this or that, but none can do what we can do. We have the gift of a brain that is the most complex thing in the universe. Other than the universe, we still don't really know how. We still don't really know. We still don't know how it works. Figuring it out still, but it's the most complex thing in the universe other than the universe. That is a gift that we have been given. And we've been given the gift of emotions that no other animal has emotions with the full range and intensity that we do. So we've been given these gifts, not a loan, not a bargain for exchange, not a contract. I'm giving you this gift, but it's really mine. No. So we've been given a gift, and like any gift, the recipient is free to do with the gift whatever the recipient wants. Somebody gives you a bicycle as a gift. If it's truly a gift, you can do with it whatever you want. You can leave it out in the rain, you can give it to somebody, or you can take care of it. You can honor the gift. And by honoring the gift, you honor the giver. Right. You honor the giver of the gift. And that is our belief, and that also Jesus is the creator incarnate, God as man, who came down to teach. If you read John chapter 3, his discussion with Nicodemus says, why are you here? And it's to teach. To teach people what to do. He doesn't talk about dying for the sins of everybody, past, present, and future, who are still going to continue to sin anyway because they have this sin nature. So I'm going to come down to die for you, but it's going to be really kind of pointless because you're going to keep doing what you've always been doing. Nah, that's not a good interpretation of what Jesus did. It's a great interpretation if you want to control people. If you want to build an organization to control people, that's a great thing to think of. Really complex. You can't figure it out for yourself. I need to tell you. Whereas if you look at what did Jesus do, very simple message to people. Love God with all your heart and mind and soul. Love one another as I have loved you. Make disciples of all nations. Do those things. Well, how do I love my neighbors, myself? You feed the hungry. You help the hungry, the thirsty, the sick, the unclothed, the unhoused. You visit people in prison. That's it. Time to go off to drive people to work and cut and cut.